Greetings and welcome to the family. Greetings and welcome to the family. This is Three Docs and a Mic, and I am Dr. Riaja, and I am here with my two lovely sisters. I will allow them to introduce themselves.
Greetings all, I'm Dr. Komoia.
Hi, I'm Dr. Saphronia.
All right, I'm interested in hearing about Cape Coast. What was your impressions?
I want to give a big shout out to RJoy, Restorative Justice for Oakland Youth, for putting together this global experience because the design of the trip was very intentional. It was very well thought through, where we went and we learned the history and we learned the greatness of the people, and that just gave us a warm welcome as to who we are. And who we can aspire to be if we get back to those ancestral values that we hold. Because on the way, after leaving the Asante Nation, on the way to Cape Coast, we started this journey. And well, let me preface this by saying first, we spent the night at an amazing facility, Fredericks Lodge, that was there. The owner came up, he was very welcoming, talked with us. He is from Kumasi, raised in Kumasi, lived in the United States, came to the United States for college, lived in Texas, then went back home. So he turned his family home into a lodge. So it was very welcoming. He showed us exactly where he used to play when he was a kid and, all the stuff like that. So he opened his home to us, for us to stay there. And before we left there, RJoy held a circle to sort of prepare us for the next part of this journey. So we held a circle and we had to really prepare ourselves to go to the next stage in this entire experience. So on the way from Kufuridia, we stopped at the ancestral slave river. And that was heavy. That was a lot. I'll let Komoia go on just to say what she has to say on that, and I'll just chime in later.
Yes, so when we arrived in the ancestral slave river, we had a person, and I'm blanking on his name right now, who described what that space was actually for. And this was new information. I don't think that anybody I've ever spoken to has told me about this piece of the journey that our ancestors had to endure prior to walking from there to the slave dungeons where they were held captive. And this piece, they turned this space into a park that's accessible to the diaspora. And he invited us to, there were walls where you can write names of people. There were spaces that you can just use a Sharpie and write the names. Also, he invited us to bring our ancestors' ashes there and actually spread their ashes there. He said, this is the space. And the process prior, so when we arrived, we had this orientation to the space. And then the process of actually walking from that original space where you walk through the gates, he invites you to take off your shoes. And in doing so, we are accessing just a snapshot of what our ancestors had to endure. And so it was optional. Most of us opted to take off our shoes and walk that land And so as we walked down the path from the entrance down through the woods in this path, and for me, it was just this overwhelming feeling of this mixture between joy and sadness. And for me, it was extremely heavy. I could feel it in my chest. I can feel it all around me. As I imagine my ancestors walking that path down to the river. And I don't even know how long the path was before we got to the river. And you see First Bath. They wrote on this archway, and that archway led to the calmer part of the river where our ancestors were bathed. And what they used to bathe them were these, I don't know, banana leaves or something like that. But one side was like, if you go in one direction, it was smooth. If you go in the other direction, it was sharp. And so they scrubbed their skin in that water with these leaves. And they made sure that they were in the calm path, and the river itself. So there was a calm path, and then there was this rapid flow coming from another direction, and the two met in one space. And so as we walked down to that river, we were encouraged by our guide to wash ourselves, wash our face, wash your eyes so that you can see better, wash your ears so that you can hear better, wash your head so that you can clear your mind and actually receive what you're meant to receive. Your arms, wherever you were led to wash, you were encouraged to do so. And we just stood in that river, listening to what was calling for us and what we needed in that moment. And we stayed in the part where the calm side and the rapid side met. And again, it was just this beautiful moment as you connect those who have gone before you, as well as this sad moment to think about what they had to endure. Before they walked, and I'm not even sure how far, it was a very long way from that river to the slave dungeons. And they had to walk after that from there to the slave dungeons. And those who fought back, or those who did not or could not endure that, they died in that river, and they were left there in that space. And so our tour guide invited us to tap into whatever we needed in that moment to just be. And on our way back, as we walked back, we had a beautiful songstress, and we sang Amazing Grace on the way back, as we all just walked back. In conversation, not in conversation, whatever you needed in that moment. All emotions were welcome in that moment. What do you need? Tap into that. It was a true community as we walked that path back from the river.
One thing that I wanted to add was that last bath of those people that were captured and put into slavery, and like Dr. Komoia said, it was on the calm side, so they couldn't escape. They chained them together. there, and they were scrubbing them. So that was the last bath. And the part that we went in was the first bath of the return. So this was the descendants in the African diaspora. You come back to bathe in this rushing water, this very alive water, that still says that our ancestors are still alive. And they welcome you back to the motherland in this one. And that's why they said it's a great place to come back and bring your ashes, because those people that died on foreign land, they can come home to the motherland there, and they're part of that energy that flows with that water.
I almost feel like this is a time to just be still and let whatever you need in this moment happen. I want to thank both of you so much for sharing that. Like, just as you were speaking, there were so many thoughts and emotions running through me. Like, I didn't know whether to, cry, scream. I don't know. Because my mind was just kind of visualizing the horrific things that our ancestors had to go through. And year after year, generation after generation, just for us to be here tonight together, on this Zoom call. How many people sacrificed their lives? How much strength and determination had to go into the fact that we are here today? And the two of you had this amazing opportunity to return to the land that we were stolen from. I know that there was a lot of other things that we were supposed to talk about tonight, but I almost feel like this is a good stopping point for now, if you are both in agreement with that, and we can continue your journey with another episode. Does that sound appropriate for both of you?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you. Was there something that you wanted to say, Dr. Komoia?
No, I was just in agreement.
Okay. Well, I want to thank both of you for sharing your story. There's so many more questions I want to ask, and I know that the viewing and listening audience will want to hear more. And I just invite everyone to reflect on what they heard in this episode, and think about what that means for you as an individual, and think about your ancestors, regardless of where your ancestors came from, how they played a role in this world history that we are all a part of. So with that, I want to thank you for watching, and as always, proceed in power.
Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to the next episode as we continue our conversation on our reflections of our trip to Ghana.
Thank you for being with us. We're sending you love, light, and positive energy. And remember to proceed in power.